Chapter 4.
It is, yes.
With the deep, unconscious sigh, which not even the nearness of the telescreen could prevent him from uttering when his day's work started, Winston pulled the speakwrite towards him, blew the dust from its mouthpiece, and put on his spectacles. Then he unrolled and clipped together 4 small cylinders of paper which had already flocked out of the pneumatic tube on the right-hand side of his desk.
Why is that kind of consuming something when listening to this?
Yeah.
In the walls of the cubicle, there were 3 orifices. To the right of the speakwrite, a small pneumatic tube for written messages. To the left, a larger one for newspapers.
Go get me a
And
cherry
in the
Dr.
side
Pepper.
wall, within
in the
easy
garage.
reach of Winston's arm,
You be a good
a
girl
large
now
oblong
and be a
slit
doll or
protected
whatever.
by a wire grating. This last
know
was
if I
for the
want to.
disposal
You
of
want to.
waste paper.
No, I don't.
Similar slits existed in thousands or tens of thousands, not only in every room,
He told me.
but at
Okay,
short
well, pause it then.
intervals in
I got
every
a
corner.
Oh, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
For some reason, they were nicknamed memory
Get
holes.
it afterwards. Yeah,
When one
I
knew
actually
that
didn't
any
consider that
document
before
was due
saying
for
we should do
destruction,
that.
or even when one saw a
we
scrap
should
of
listen
waste
to
paper
that.
lying about, it was an automatic action to lift the flap of the nearest memory hole and drop it in, whereupon it would be whirled away on a current of warm air to the enormous
Oh, never
furnaces
mind. Grab that
which
Diet
were
Dr.
hidden
Pepper from
somewhere
the
in the
cabinet.
recesses of the building. Winston examined the 4 slips of paper which he had unrolled. Each
and we can
contained
share
a
a chocolate
message
bar.
of only
Get
1
a
or 2
chocolate bar.
lines
A
in
Hershey's
the
one.
abbreviated
I sound so
jargon.
bossy.
Not actually newspeak,
If you would
but
if you would be
consisting
so kind.
largely of newspeak words, which was used in the ministry for internal
You maybe use your
purposes.
phone flashlight.
They ran
Put
times
it over there.
17.3.84 BB speech malreported Africa rectify times
Africa.
19.12.83 forecasts 3
Hershey's and
YP
Pepper.
4th quarter 83 misprints verify current issue
Oh, thank you.
times
Maybe I'll share it with you even for all your
14.2.84
good work.
mini plenty malquoted
Maybe.
chocolate rectify
Bitch.
Yeah.
times 3.12.83 reporting BB day order double plus ungood refs unpersons rewrite full wise up sub anti-filing. With a faint feeling of satisfaction, Winston laid the 4th message aside. It was an intricate and responsible job and had better be dealt with last. The other 3 were routine matters, though the second one would probably mean some tedious wading through lists of figures. Winston dialed back numbers on the telescreen and called for the appropriate issues of the Times, which slid out of the pneumatic tube after only a few minutes' delay. The messages he had received referred to articles or news items, which for one reason or another it was thought necessary to alter, or as the official phrase had it, to rectify. For example, it appeared from the Times of the 17th of March that Big Brother, in his speech of the previous day, had predicted that the South Indian Front would remain quiet, but that a Eurasian offensive would shortly be launched in North Africa. As it happened, the Eurasian Higher Command had launched its offensive in South India and left North Africa alone. It was therefore necessary to rewrite a paragraph of Big Brother's speech in such a way as to make him predict the thing that had actually happened. Or again, the Times of the 19th of December had published the official forecasts of the output of various classes of consumption goods in the 4th quarter of 1983, which was also the 6th quarter of the 9th 3-year plan.
My toilet's clogged. Then he went to go get Pluamin.
Today's issue contained a statement of the actual output, from which it appeared that the forecasts were in every instance grossly wrong.
I mean, this won't make any sense.
Winston's job was to rectify the original figures by making them agree with the later ones.
What is it?
As for the 3rd message,
guy?
it referred to a very simple error, which could be set right in a couple of minutes.
No, they'll see because
As
that's
short
the,
a time ago as February,
thumbnail of all
the
videos.
Ministry of Plenty
Oh,
had
you're
issued
right.
a promise,
They'll see it.
a categorical
Don't worry.
pledge with the official words, that there would be no reduction of the chocolate ration during 1984.
The chocolate Russian?
That's what it sounded like.
Oh, okay.
Actually, as Winston was aware, the chocolate ration was to be reduced
ration.
from
Oh, that
30
makes more
grams
sense.
to
Don't
20
make it make
at
sense.
the end of the
Aw,
present
sorry.
week.
No, not you.
All that was needed was to substitute for the original promise a warning that it would probably be necessary to reduce the ration at some time in April. As soon as Winston had dealt with each of the messages, he clipped his speak-written corrections to the appropriate copy of The Times and pushed them into the pneumatic tube. Then, with a movement which was as nearly as possible unconscious, he crumpled up the original message and any notes that he himself had made and dropped them into the memory hole to be devoured by the flames.
The memory hole.
What happened in the unseen labyrinth to which the pneumatic tubes led, he did not know in detail. But he did know in general terms.
Doing takeover. Don't
As soon as all the corrections which happened to be necessary in any particular number of the Times had been assembled and collated, that number would be reprinted, the original copy destroyed, and the corrected copy placed on the files in its stead. This process of continuous alteration was applied not only to newspapers, but to books, periodicals, pamphlets, posters, leaflets, films, soundtracks, cartoons, photographs, to every kind of literature or documentation which might conceivably hold any political or ideological significance.
We're not actually, you know?
Sounds like you're having zero with
Day
world
by
problems.
day, and almost minute by minute, the past was brought up to date. In this way,
Like, you don't even pay taxes.
every party could be shown by documentary evidence to have been correct.
Yes, I do. I got
Nor was any
stuff
item
in the mail
of
this
or
year.
any expression of opinion
Okay, do
which
you
conflicted with the needs of the moment
why not?
ever allowed to remain on record.
Uh,
All history was a
anything to do.
palimpsest.
There wasn't anything
Scraped
to do.
clean
Well,
and
I
re-inscribed
guess go back to
exactly
complaining
as
about British people then.
was necessary. In no case would
You've
it
got
have been
bigger fish to
possible,
fry.
once that
You
it was
hate
done,
You can
to
take lots
prove
of
that
shits in
any
this house.
I
falsification
can say that.
the largest
Yeah,
section
here
of
we
the
go.
testimony.
I
Far
said you
larger
hate
than
me.
the one which
You
was
can say
I know, but it was
What?
coming.
The persons whose duty
Like
it was
me.
to track down and collect
Right?
all
What?
copies
What?
of books,
What?
newspapers, and documents which had been superseded and were due for destruction. A number of the Times, which might, because of changes in political alignment or mistaken prophecies uttered by Big Brother, have been rewritten a dozen times.
Something funny about a
still
mistaken
stood
prophecy.
On the files
It's like when
bearing
someone
its
sends you a
original
really
date,
serious text
and
message
no
with
other copy
typos.
existed to
I
contradict
just don't think we working out.
Books also were recalled and rewritten again and again, and were invariably reissued without any admission that any alteration had been made. Even the written instructions which Winston received, and which he invariably got rid of as soon as he had dealt with them, never stated or implied that an act of forgery was to be committed. Always the reference was to slips, errors, misprints, or misquotations, which it was necessary to put right in the interests of accuracy. But actually, he thought as he readjusted the Ministry of Plenty's figures, it was not even forgery. It was merely the substitution of one piece of nonsense for another. Most of the
Sounds like me
material that
talking.
you were dealing with had no connection
Yeah.
with anything in the real world. Not even the kind of connection that is contained in a direct lie. Statistics were just as much a fantasy in their original version as in their rectified version. A great deal of the
Talking about
time you were
rectums.
expected to make them
Yeah,
up
I
out
don't
of your
like it.
head. For example, the Ministry of Plenty's forecast had estimated
How
the
many
output
ministries
of
are there?
books for the quarter.
They're gonna need a
at
Ministry of Ministries soon.
145 million
They might
pounds.
already have a ministry of
The
ministries.
actual output was given as 62 millions.
The Ministry
Winston,
of
however,
Administration.
in rewriting the forecast,
Administration?
marked the figure
The
down
Ministry
to
of
57 millions,
Administration.
so as to allow for the usual claim that the quota had been
These noodles taste like
overfulfilled.
period blood. I better call them the Ministry of Minestrone Administration.
57 millions. Or
Thank God we have a department for this.
very likely no boots
This
had
just
been
happens
produced
so
at all.
often.
Likely still,
My noodles
nobody
just
knew how many had
constantly
been produced,
taste
much less
like
when.
period blood.
All one knew was that every quarter,
That's
astronomical amounts of books were
the
produced
consequence
on
of the
paper,
1984
while
society.
perhaps half the
A world without
population
AIDS comes at a
went
cost.
barefoot.
Your
And
noodles
so
just
it
start
was with
tasting
every
like period
class of
blood.
recorded fact,
What does period
great
blood
or
taste
small.
like?
I don't know.
Everything
But
Um,
you're a
faded
woman.
away into a
I
shadow.
you think I just sit there like scooping it out of me like, huh, what does this taste?
You got like a spoon, you keep reaching into your pants.
I got like a blood clot. Like,
On the other
this is
side,
the tasty.
Chewy!
That's so
dark-chinned
gross.
man named Tillotson was working steadily away with a folded newspaper on his knee, and his
It's
mouth
got
very
chocolate
close
sauce
to
on
the
it.
mouthpiece of the speaker.
Lemon chocolate sauce.
He had the air of trying to keep what he was saying a secret between himself and the telescreen. He looked up,
What?
and his
Wait,
spectacles
what?
darted
I
a
have no
hostile
idea.
flash in Winston's
So
face.
hold on, he's in the room watching watching TV.
No, a
He had no idea
telescreen.
what
Oh,
work he was
he's
employed.
watching the telescreen
People in
in
the
the TV.
records department
He's like,
did
God, I
not
hope no one
readily
finds
talk
out
about
that,
their jobs.
that he's thinking.
In the long windowless
That's
hall,
the deep of it. He's
with
doing
its double
thought.
row of
Because-
cubicles and its
Big
endless
Brother
rustle
watches
of
the mind
papers
and
and
the
hum
thoughts,
of
and he's
voices
thinking, Big
murmuring
Brother's
into
like,
speak
"Ooh."
rights.
Don't you
Quite
fucking
a
judge
dozen
me.
people whom Winston did not even know by name. Though he daily saw them hurrying to and fro in the corridors.
How I run your
or
country is none of your
gesticulating
business.
in the 2 minutes hate. He knew that in the cubicle next to him, the little woman with sandy hair toiled day
Again,
in,
this
day
little
out.
woman with
Oh,
sandy
is this the
hair.
one with like the
Simply
virgin hips?
attracting
Yeah, this is
down
the sexy
deleted
lady that
from
he
the
keeps
high
talking
school
about.
of
That he
people
hates,
who
he
had
hates
been
her.
vaporized
Oh yeah, for
She's too
and were
sexy.
therefore considered never to have existed.
Reminds me of Summer Smith.
There was a certain fitness in this, since her own husband
worry,
had
it's
been
not real.
vaporized a couple of years earlier.
just random.
And a few cubicles away, a mild, ineffectual, dreamy creature named Ampleforth, with very
What?
hairy
What kind of
ears.
fucking
She,
name is that?
she was so lovely. Her name was
was
Dilbarglebear.
engaged in producing garbled versions
I was about to
definitive
look it up.
texts, they were called,
Dilbar
of poems which had become
Dilbar,
ideologically offensive,
How's this name spelled?
but which, for one reason or
Gilbert,
another,
Gilbert.
were to be retained in the anthologies. And this hall, with
Like the
its
Beatles
50
anthologies? They
workers
made a
or
fourth one.
thereabouts, was only one subsection, a single cell, as it were, in the huge complexity of the records department. Beyond, above, below, were other swarms of workers engaged in an unimaginable multitude of jobs. There were the huge printing shops, with their sub-editors, their typography experts, and their elaborately equipped studios for the faking of photographs. There was the teleprogram section with its engineers, its producers, and its teams of actors specially chosen for their skill in imitating voices. There were the armies of reference clerks, whose job was simply to draw up lists of books and periodicals which were due for recall.
You call that an army?
There were the vast repositories where the corrected documents were
Squad
stored,
7, make a
and the
list!
hidden furnaces where the original copies were destroyed. And somewhere or other, quite anonymous, there were the directing brains who coordinated the whole effort and laid down the lines of policy which made it necessary that this fragment of the past should be preserved, that one falsified, and the other rubbed out of existence. And the records department, after all, was itself only a single branch of the Ministry of Truth, whose primary job was not to reconstruct the past, but to supply the citizens of Oceania with newspapers, films, textbooks, telescreen programs, plays, novels, with every conceivable kind of information, instruction, or entertainment, from a statue to a slogan, from a lyric poem to a biological treatise, and from a child's spelling book to a Newspeak dictionary. And the ministry had not only to supply the multifarious needs of the party, but also to repeat the whole operation at a lower level for the benefit of the proletariat. There was a whole chain of separate departments dealing with proletarian literature, music, drama, and entertainment generally. Here were produced rubbishy newspapers containing almost nothing except sport, crime, and astrology, sensational 5-cent novelettes, films oozing with sex and
Containing
sentimental
almost
songs
nothing
which were
except these
composed
12
entirely
different
by
things.
mechanical means on a special kind of kaleidoscope known as a versificator.
Versificator.
There was even a whole subsection,
Okay.
pornosec, it was called in
Whoa.
Newspeak, engaged in producing the lowest kind of pornography, which was sent out in sealed packets and which no party member, other than
Furry.
those who worked on it,
The
was
lowest
permitted
kind
to
of furry.
Or maybe they mean like
3
mine
messages that
shafts.
slid out of the pneumatic tube
The
when
lowest.
Winston was working, but they were simple matters, and he had disposed of them before the
Where's
2
it?
minutes hate interrupted him.
Never mind.
When the hate was over, he returned to his cubicle, took the Newspeak dictionary from the shelf, pushed the speakwrite to one side, cleaned his spectacles, and settled down to his main job of the morning. Winston's greatest pleasure in life was in his work.
Was that pause shorter
Most
than
of it
usual, or
was
am
a
I going
tedious
crazy?
routine, but included in it There were also jobs so difficult and
making fun of me right
intricate
now?
that you could lose yourself in them as in the depths of a mathematical problem.
No, I
Delicate
wouldn't do
pieces
that.
of forgery in which you had nothing to guide you except your knowledge of the principles of Ingsoc and your estimate of what the party wanted you to say. Winston was good at this kind of thing. On occasion, he had even been entrusted with the rectification of the Times' leading articles, which were written entirely in Newspeak. He unrolled the message that he had set aside earlier. It ran, Times 3.12.83, reporting BB Day Order, double plus ungood, refs unpersons, rewrite, full wise, upsub, anti-filing. In old speak, or standard English, this might be rendered, the reporting of Big Brother's order for the day in The Times of December 3rd, 1983 is extremely unsatisfactory and makes references to non-existent persons. Rewrite it in full and submit your draft to higher authority before filing. Winston read through the offending article. Big Brother's order for the day, it seemed, had been chiefly devoted to praising the work of an organization known as FFCC, which supplied cigarettes and other comforts to the sailors in the floating fortresses.
Like the
A
highest kind
certain
of
Comrade Withers, a prominent
Helicopter
member of the
weed
inner
love.
party, had been singled out for special mention and
The
rewarded
highest
a
kind.
decoration, the Order of Conspicuous Merit, Second Class. 3 months later, FFCC had suddenly been dissolved with no reasons given. One could assume that Withers and his associates were now in disgrace, but there had been no report of the matter in the press or
What's
on
that
the
doing July
telescope.
1st, 2024?
That was to be expected, since it was unusual for political offenders to be put
Being
on
just
trial
barely not
or even
depressed.
publicly denounced.
And
The
getting
great purges involving
all
thousands of people,
nifty.
with public
about to go on
trials
a
of
trip.
traitors and thought criminals who made abject
Like the
confession
day
of
after
their
tomorrow,
crimes and were
I was-
afterwards
oh.
executed, was special
Actually, no, I can
showcases,
remember the exact
not occurring oftener than once in a couple of
night.
years.
like
More
the first
commonly,
hour of July 1st,
People who had
2024. I think I
incurred
have
the
a photo
displeasure
from
of the
that day.
party simply disappeared.
Or I had like
and were
my
never
foot
heard
up
of
like
again.
this in my garage. And I was like facing.
One never had the smallest
the
clue as
staircase
to what
closet
had
area.
happened to them. In some cases, they might not even be dead. Perhaps 30 people personally known to
bitch.
Winston, not counting his parents, had disappeared at one time or
Yeah, I
another.
wonder if we were hanging out that day.
Winston stroked his nose gently with a paperclip.
Oh, I have a picture.
Did you hear what he was doing
In
to
the
his
cubicle
He was
nose?
across
stroking
the way,
it.
Comrade Tillotson was still crouching secretly.
Looks like we're not the
over
only
his
one.
He raised his head for a moment. Again, the hostile spectacle flash. Winston wondered whether
Oh, I guess I
Comrade
was hanging out
Tillotson
with
was
my
engaged
dogs.
on the same job as himself. It was
Okay,
perfectly
my actual
possible.
dogs. Oh, you fucking hate me.
So tricky a
Jesus
piece of
Christ.
work would never be entrusted
Oh,
to a
jeez,
single
Rick, you hate
person.
me. Oh, jeez,
On the
Rick.
other hand, to turn it over to a committee would be to admit openly that an act of fabrication was taking place.
Oh no, an act of
Very likely as
fabrication when
many
you're
as a
working in a
dozen
linen
people
store.
were now working
I was
away
just
the
thinking
final
something like
versions of what Big Brother had actually said. And presently some master brain in the inner party would select this version or that, would re-edit it and set in motion the complex processes of cross-referencing that would be required. And then the chosen lie would pass into the permanent records and become truth. Winston did not know why Withers had been disgraced. Perhaps it was for corruption
I was
or
like trying to
incompetence.
shake the chocolate off my hand.
Perhaps Big Brother was merely getting rid of a too popular subordinate. Perhaps Withers or someone close to him had been suspected of heretical tendencies. Or perhaps, what was likeliest of all, the thing had simply happened because purges and vaporizations were a necessary part of the mechanics of government. The only real clue lay in the words, refs unpersons, which indicated that Withers was already dead. You could not invariably assume this to be the case when people were arrested. Sometimes they were released and allowed to remain at liberty for as much as a year or 2 years before being executed. Very occasionally, some person whom you had believed dead long since, would make a ghostly reappearance at some public trial where he would implicate hundreds of others by his testimony before vanishing,
Testimony?
this time forever.
Huh.
Ugly.
That's interesting.
Withers, however, was already
He's like, I'm
an
dying.
person.
You're all
did not
criminals too.
exist.
I'm out.
He had never existed.
It's really funny, like being
Winston
the age that we are
decided
now,
that it would not
how
be enough simply to reverse
1984
the
is a book
tendency
about
of
the
Big
future.
Brother's speech. It was
and
better
it was
to make
over
it
40
deal
years
with
ago.
know.
the future.
He might turn the speech into the usual denunciation of traitors and thought criminals.
Denunciation.
But
Is that
was
like the
a
word
little too
dethaw?
obvious. While to invent a victory at the front or some triumph of overproduction in the ninth 3-year
Dude, I've
plan
got, like,
might
Jesus
complicate
Christ,
the
I've got, like,
records
buff
too much.
feet.
Well, yeah, because you walk
I know,
everywhere.
but it's weird because it's
Was a
like
piece of pure fantasy.
my feet are so
Suddenly there sprang
lean.
into his mind.
That's a weird thing to
ready-made, as it
say.
were, the image of a certain comrade
Relax your,
Shy.
relax your foot.
who had recently died
Wait,
in
what the-
battle in heroic
So you
circumstances.
have like such a. I
There
have
were
flat
occasions
feet.
when
Right?
Big Brother
It's
delivered
weird.
his
I really-
order for the
well, not, like,
day
super
to
flat, but, like-
commemorating some humble,
Yeah, my
rank
feet
and
are like
file
your
party
feet are
member
your
whose
back.
life and death he held up as an example
Look at my feet
worthy
jot.
to be
That's
followed.
so. Oh, that's so
My-
weird.
Today,
My feet
he should
jot.
commemorate
Notice my
Comrade
heel.
Ogilvy. It was
So,
true that there was no such
my
person
foot is,
as
like,
Extend
Comrade
your, extend your
Ogilvy,
knee.
but a few lines of print and a couple of
That's
fake
what I do,
photographs
Ronnie.
would
Okay,
soon
again.
bring him into existence.
Didn't work.
What are you trying to do?
You can, like,
Winston
fucking, like-
thought for a
Oh,
moment, then pulled the speak right towards him and began dictating in Big Brother's familiar style, a style at once military and pedantic. And because of a trick of asking questions and then promptly answering them, what lessons do we learn from this fact, comrades? The lesson, which is also one of the fundamental principles of INGSOC, that, etc.
Not that I'm not enjoying it, but this
Easy
has
to
felt like the
imitate.
longest 25
At the
minutes
age
of my
I know,
entire
like,
life.
Comrade
Jesus.
Ogilvy refused all toys except a drum, a submachine gun, and a model helicopter.
He's just
At
talking
6,
about.
a year early,
I don't even know
by
what
a
he's
special
talking about.
relaxation
No,
of the
what he's
rules,
talking about.
he
like,
had joined the spies.
yeah.
At 9,
Oh, that
He
clears
had-
it up. Thank you.
At 11, he had denounced his uncle to the thought police after overhearing a conversation which appeared to him to have criminal tendencies. At 17, he had been a district organizer of the Junior Anti-Sex League.
What?
At 19, he had designed a handbook,
What do you do for work? Oh,
which
I'm a
had been
member of the
adopted by
Anti-Sex
Ministry of
League.
Peace, and which, at its first trial,
Guess you're
killed
one.
I
day.
beat
91
people into
Eurasian
celibacy.
prisoners in one burst. At 23,
I beat them
he
off
had
into
perished
celibacy.
pursued by enemy
Let's not be having
jet
sex
planes
now.
while
I'll
flying
watch
over
your
the
penis,
Indian
I'll give
Ocean
you
with
a
important dispatches.
I think I'm about to lost the plot. Also, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but you see in the cover
into
how there are like
deep
two
water.
guys.
Yeah, I
Dispatches
noticed it
and
just
all.
like recently.
And
Yeah, me too. I
said
was
Big
like,
Brother,
Oh, yeah, there's guys.
which it was impossible to contemplate without feelings of envy. Big Brother added a
That
few
was like
remarks
smoke.
on the
Was it?
purity and single-mindedness of Comrade Ogilvy's life.
Sure.
He was a total abstainer and a non-smoker, had no recreations except a daily hour in the gymnasium, and had taken a vow of celibacy, believing marriage and the care of a
The
family
league
to
is
be
doing its job.
incompatible with a 24-hour-a-day devotion to duty.
To duty.
He had no
Duty.
subjects of conversation except the principles
So
of
there's the
INGSOC,
anti-sex
and no
league,
aim
the
in life
Ministry of
except the
Truth,
defeat of the Eurasian
the
Ministry
enemy and the
the
hunting
Ministry
down
of
of spies,
Minestrone
saboteurs,
Administration.
thought criminals, and traitors
The Ministry
generally.
of Regular Menstruation?
Winston
Or
debated
No.
Only
whether to
Minestrone.
Yeah, not enough women have periods these days. However,
In the end, he decided against it because of the unnecessary cross-referencing that it would entail. Once again, he glanced at his rival in the opposite cubicle.
Mr.
Something seemed to
Nimbus!
tell him that Philip was busy on the same job as himself. There was no way of knowing whose
we'd be
job
a
would
hit
finally
with
be adopted,
people that are just
but he felt
us.
a profound
Like, if there were just a bunch of
that it would
clones
be
of
his
us,
own.
like the Citadel of Addison
Comrade
and Kennedy,
Ogilvy,
it'd
unimaginable,
be really funny.
was now a fact. It struck him as
The number
curious
one
that you
watched
could
YouTube
create
channel.
dead men,
I don't think so.
but not
It's
living
terrible
ones.
production value.
No,
Comrade
they love
Ogilvy.
it. They'd love it.
Are you worried
It'd all
about getting-
just-
Now
It'd all just be
he's
us.
Are you worried about
And
getting
then
rejected
once
by
the
yourself?
act of forgery was written,
I
he would
wouldn't,
exist
because
just as authentically
I'm
and
too
upon
ugly
the
for
same
me.
evidence
She's hot.
as Charlemagne or Julius Caesar.
what?
The salad.
Oh, okay.
Well, is that it? Ended with Julius Caesar. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's all he had to say. Okay, well. What knowledge do you have of what's going on in the book so far?
So, Newspeak, right? 1984. They created a whole bunch of new words, and now they don't let people know what anything is. And there's wars, and Winston is thinking. He's doing a lot of thoughts, but he's like, no, that's bad. That's naughty, because Big Brother's gonna get me. And
Don't you think?
he hates the sexy lady.
Because she's too
Because
sexy.
she's too sexy. He wants to boink, but he's a part of the anti-sex league,
Yeah.
so he can't do
And
that.
and his noodles are clean because
Yeah.
he keeps the minestrone menstruation ministry on speed dial.
You know it. What else is going on? There's a bunch of wars happening. That's
So far the best part of the book, or the best little thing that we've noticed, is the people disappearing in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that is interesting.
Other than that, they're just throwing a whole bunch of information at me.
Yeah, and we'll probably look up a summary and be like, oh, that's what we were laughing over like idiots.